This morning, I'm going to title my message this morning is When Desperation Meets Salvation. I'm going to ask you if you can turn your Bibles, if you have them, to Luke 19, verses 1 through 9. When desperation meets salvation. I hear some pages moving. That's good. It's really quiet sometimes, and I'm like, oh, they all must be scrolling to get to where they're going to go to. But I hear pages. Pages are good. Luke 19, 1 through 9 says, Jesus entered Jericho and made his way through the town. Now there was a man there named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass by that way. And when Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, he said, come down, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. He has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. And meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord Jesus and said, I will give half of my wealth to the poor. Lord, and if I have cheated people of their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much. And Jesus responded, salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save those who are lost. When desperation meets salvation. Desperation is a state of hopelessness. It's a state of extreme urgency and reckless behavior. It happens when a person faces a bad situation and feels ready to take any risk to fix it. It's a loss of hope and deep feeling that things are so bad that they cannot get any better on their own. Has anybody in here been desperate? Andy's been desperate. Have you ever felt extreme desperation in your life? I've been to that point of just crazy desperation, of just I'm willing and ready to do anything to fix or solve a problem that I'm in. I get so desperate. I've hit that times in my life, in my past life, that I have been so desperate that I will try anything just to get ahead, just to go one more day, just to make it one more night, just to go a little bit further, and just to get past this circumstance. I'll do whatever it takes. When and I know there's a few people in here that were in the military, and and I never was. I was a police officer, but when I was a police officer, they sent me to the academy for 6 months. I'm from California, so they sent me to the city that I worked with. They sent us to Riverside County Sheriff's Department. That's where I would go. That's where we all would go, and I went there for 6 months. I lived in this barracks, and we started with 180 something people in our academy class, and we graduated with 53. And I'll never forget the day. My favorite, our favorite drill instructor. We had instructors for everything: shooting this, instructor for this, instructor for that. But then we had drill instructors that would just show us love every single morning. And so my favorite instructor was Deputy Epps. And Deputy Epps was a Marine Corps drill instructor. That's what he did for the longest time. And he had this Marine Corps voice that like I'll never be able to do it. I was not a Marine, but he did it. Someone saying I could do it. So he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Ken knows what I'm talking about. But he would come and you could hear him coming because as we were standing on the grinder, and as we were there and the sun's coming up and it's hot in Riverside and, it's 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, you're standing there at attention. And at that time, they made us dress in Dickies uniforms. And I had to be in the Dickies uniform with a black tie and my shined up boots. And I would stand there and like the desperation would start to kick in of just like that anxiety. Like, just get me through one more day because I could hear him turning the corner and I can hear their boots through the gravel getting to the grinder. And I'll never forget my favorite day, and this is where my mind goes. Give you a little glimpse of my mind. My mind goes here. My favorite day is we are on the grinder. It's the middle of the afternoon. It's hot. It's like 100-something degrees. And I hear one of the instructors goes up to another cadet and he says, "Go tell Deputy Epps you need to be killed." And everyone's just kind of quiet. And he runs up to him and he goes, "Deputy Epps, Deputy so-and-so said I need to be killed." And he says, "Okay." And he just starts to physically work him out. Just train him and physically beat him up until he quit. Until he quit. And all of us just stood there and watched this. And it just the anxiety and the desperation. But we went through 6 months of desperation. 6 months of how bad do you want it? Are you desperate enough to wake up and do this again tomorrow? Are you desperate enough to get to to November? For me, it was in November. I was there in June, and we graduated in late November. And I remember it's like, how bad and how desperate are you to make it to the end? And they had no problems telling us this, and they had no problems coming up to us and saying, "Hey, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it. You might as well just go home. You might as well just go and pack your stuff up now." They had no problems coming up to us and ripping our stuff off our belt and throwing our bags around and doing all these things to humiliate us, but just to get us to the point to expose how desperate are you to finish this thing? How desperate are you to receive the prize at the end? The reward at the end. If you've ever lived in desperation, then you know and you could understand this story that we are about to encounter this morning. Zacchaeus was a Jewish man. He was a chief tax collector in the region of Jericho, a position of status. He was known amongst important people or elite people. He was wealthy, a life of privilege. He was an authority and an authority figure and had financial power. Chief tax collectors in the first century of Judea occupied a deeply unpopular social position. They collaborated with Rome, extracting taxes from their own people while often enriching themselves through overcharging. Zacchaeus' wealth let us know that the chief tax collector could accumulate fortunes by skimming profits beyond what Rome acquired. This made him both powerful and despised, financially wealthy, but spiritually he was lost and cut off from his people. Although rich and powerful, Zacchaeus hit a point of desperation. The moment when he had to look at himself in the mirror and know that his life no longer has real meaning. No amount of money, status could fulfill the desperation inside of him. And there's more to life than what is currently happening and how he's currently living. Zacchaeus came up to a point in life where his current status, his current position in life was no longer fulfilling him. That although he had money, power, respect, although he was rubbing shoulders with the higher ups and, rubbing elbows with the higher ups and living a certain social life and living a certain like status in life, that wasn't enough for him now. Like now he would feel empty. And have you ever felt that way? Have you ever been somewhere around people and everything was all good, but the moment you get alone, it's not so good anymore? I remember times in my life where I had to I would be around friends and I would be around family and I would be all in the things in the social mix, and I would be living a life that I thought was what I wanted to live. But the moment I got alone and I had to look at myself in the mirror, and the moment that I was alone with my thoughts, I had to realize, I came to this realization that my life meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. And desperation started to come over me, and I started to try this thing and that thing, and I tried to, I'm going to jump ship and I'll try this relationship because this one will work out. And when that one didn't work out, I'll jump ship and I'll go try this relationship, and that didn't work out. And, maybe I'll stop drinking, or, and that didn't work out. So maybe I'll just, start drinking again, and that didn't work out. But there was constantly desperation of trying to fix my own problem, because when I looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't like what I see. I didn't like what I felt, and I was desperate for something. Was desperate for change. Was desperate. Have you ever hit a point in your life where you've been desperate? If you've ever felt desperation, you realize that desperation reveals something in you. My first point today is desperation reveals reality. What our life really is not what we manufactured it to be. When your life is not what it's all cracked up to be. When you're desperate, you start to realize the reality of your circumstance. You start to realize that reality is not fun. I can put up a front here, but in reality, it's different. In verse number 3, it says, he tried to look over Jesus, but he was too short to see over a crowd. Zacchaeus got to a point of desperation. He got to a point where he could no longer live the life he was living, that money, power, authority, and anything else that he was experiencing could no longer fill him. That he was tired of being rejected. He was tired of being empty. He was tired of being cursed at. He was tired of being looked down upon. That he had no real friends, because all of his friends were connected by his status. His people, the Jewish people, were disconnected from him because, like we've seen in the story of Matthew, they all hated him for being a tax collector because he cheated his own people. And so Matthew, in verse 3, it says, he reached a point of desperation. It says he was short in stature. I believe, and as I was reading this, it makes me feel like Zacchaeus had little man syndrome. You ever meet someone with little man syndrome? Everybody. We've all met someone at some time with little man syndrome. Short in stature. So he did things that made him feel good. It made things that built him up. He made a career choice that made others feel small, but he felt powerful. He built up this reality in his mind of power and control and manipulation. He did this thing, like he had this issue with being short. Have you ever made up your own reality? Like Zacchaeus, have we ever hurt someone because we didn't want to be hurt? We ever manipulated someone first because we didn't want to be manipulated? We have a sort of a little bit of little man syndrome. I'll take this position, I'll take this posture, and I'll beat you down because if I beat you down first, you can't beat me down. Not only was he short in height, but is also, when you look at this, he's also referring to his spirit of brokenness. Although he had everything that he could possibly want and all the money that he could possibly want, he was broken and unfulfilled inside. His spirit was broken. Zacchaeus was lost. He was rejected. Everything that he hung his life on was fragile, was brittle. Zacchaeus realized that fulfillment doesn't come from things, it comes from Jesus. And his broken spirit, his spirit was crying out to encounter God. At some point, the Bible doesn't tell us how, but at some point through this scripture, we learn that Zacchaeus heard about a man, heard about Jesus, who was just going to pass by. In our desperation, did we ever hear about someone? I remember a time, reading this text took me back to a time of desperation where I heard about Jesus. I heard about him. There was a point where I was even invited to go meet him. Invited to church. Invited to go experience Jesus. Zacchaeus hears that Jesus is walking by, and in verse 4, it brings us to our next point. Desperation reveals the heart. Zacchaeus was blocked by a crowd, and it says he ran ahead and climbed a tree. I want you to think about this. Desperation reveals your heart. Desperation reveals how bad you want him. How bad you want change. How bad you want deliverance. How bad you want an encounter with Jesus. Desperation reveals your heart. You can't hide your heart. Desperation will pull it out. It says, as Zacchaeus was blocked by the crowd, he ran and climbed. We have to understand, he ran and climbed. That's a big deal for Zacchaeus. Because not only was he in front of the people who didn't like him, he was also being watched by the people who he worked for. He was also not running and climbing a tree in front of his enemies, the people that had rejected him, the people who he was stealing from. But he was also running ahead and climbing a tree in front of the government that he worked for, the people that he turned the money over to, the people that made him rich. And desperation, in his desperation, it says he ran and he climbed. Desperation revealed his heart and it forced him to humble himself. It humbled himself and take a risk. He desired to see Jesus and humbled himself to do it. When you really want to see Jesus, when you really want to experience him, there's nothing that will hold you back. All excuses are out the window. You will fight for him. You will cry it out. When you really want to experience the life-changing power that Jesus offers, there is nothing and no one that can stop you from encountering him. There was nothing. The moment that I decided that I was going to give my life to the Lord, it didn't matter how many people questioned my decision. I was going to do it. It didn't matter what it looked like. I was going to do it. I've often said this before, like I really didn't care about how the way I lived my life in the world. Here's a quick testimony about some foolishness I used to do. So I really didn't care about my actions or responses or I didn't care about me or really anybody else. And so one day I'm in a bar. It's called Partners Bar in this little town that I used to live in. It's a little bar that everybody goes to. It's smaller than this room. And I'm in the bar and I'm intoxicated and my buddy's talking to a young lady and this other man, I have no idea who this person was. He walks up and he tries to interrupt the conversation. And my friend tells him, "Hey man, you need to leave," like I'm talking to her. And he doesn't leave, which triggered me and my craziness. And I C-clamped this guy's throat. And I drug him basically to the back of the bar on the ground, choking him. And my buddy grabs me and some people grab me and there's some people, I can hear them laughing. And they're like, "Man, let him go, let him go." And I finally let him go and I snap out of it. I have no idea why I did it. But I come to realize that if I was willing to live for the devil like that my desperation for Jesus in my life, I'll live even greater for him. Like you can't stop me. You can't embarrass me. You can't do what these people did and try to put a wall in front of me and prevent me from encountering him. Like I'll climb a tree. I'll run and climb a tree. I'll do what needs to be done to encounter God because I used to live a life that was ugly and nasty. And I didn't care what people thought. So if I don't care about what you thought of me back then, why do I care now? How many times do we desire to encounter, but we are not willing to look foolish to get it? How many times do we let public opinion, friends, career, self, pride, arrogance, fear stop us or hold us back from an encounter with Jesus? How many times do we hear the stories of he'll change your life, or you see the testimonies, or you feel the feels, but yet something inside of you just won't let it fully go. He knew where Jesus was going to be. And get this, like, he didn't like say he wanted to talk to him. It didn't say like he had fought his way to the front so he could touch him. He just says, there's somebody who's going to walk by, and I just want to see him. He knew where Jesus was going to be, and he did his research. He knew the road and the route he was going to take. And Zacchaeus made up his mind and decided. He said, where his presence is where I need to be. It's possible to be in the presence of Jesus and never encounter him. It's possible to let your miracle walk right past you because you were too full of pride and fear to capture it. Look at how many people were too busy blocking Zacchaeus, and Jesus just walked by. It's possible to come to church every single Sunday. I wish I knew off the top of my head how many Sundays are in a month or in a year. If you know, 52? Genius. It's the reason why I keep Justin in this church. 52 Sundays. 52 Sundays. It's possible to attend church 52 Sundays and never encounter him. It's possible to walk into this building or any other building that you want to that says church on it. It's possible to walk in and be that person who says, why are they here? I know about that guy. I know what she did. Why are they here? Well, I'm not giving them a connector card. Well, I don't want them here. It's possible to be in the presence of God and expend all your energy on preventing a miracle from happening. How many times have we been here and been in the presence, and the worship is good, and we're getting all the feels and the chills and the raising of hands, and you walk out of here and everyone's like, man, that felt so good, and the presence of God was so strong, and you're like, really? I think it went a little long. I think it was a little loud. Desperation reveals opportunity. Verse 5. Verse 5 says, when Jesus came by, he looked up and saw Zacchaeus and called out to him by name. He says, quick, come down, I must be your guest. Desperation reveals opportunity. Opportunity was presented to Zacchaeus that day. The moment he'd been waiting and wanting arrived. And the opportunity was here. When Jesus came by, he looked at him and he called Zacchaeus by name. Jesus was drawn to his heart and humility. How many people did Jesus walk by and his heart and their heart never stopped him. How many people did he pass by? We've seen this before. The woman with the issue of blood. She fights through the crowd just to touch the hem of his garment. And he stops and he says, "Who touched me?" And what was the dumb response that the people said? "Well, everyone's touching you." It was the heart of one person of desperation that stops him in his tracks. Jesus was drawn to his heart and his humility. And Jesus just couldn't keep walking because his heart locked in with Zacchaeus' heart. A connection was made, and this is the point, when desperation meets salvation. When the desperate heart and a desperate person meets the Savior and meets salvation. And Jesus calls him by name. Watch. He doesn't call him by position. He doesn't say, "Hey, you, chief tax collector." He doesn't call him by position. He calls him by name. He didn't call him or identify him by what people thought of him. He calls him by name. And the desperation in Zacchaeus caused an excitement in the Lord. This is one of the rare times in the scriptures where we see something that Jesus says something like this. This response from Jesus was so great that he says, "I must be a guest in your house." Not tomorrow, right now. He says, "I must be a guest in your house today." Does your heart capture the excitement of Jesus? Does your desperation and your hunger for him make him stop in his tracks and say, "I'm going to your house. I must meet with you today. I must talk with you today"? Have we acted on these opportunities given to us? Jesus stops and he says, "I must be a guest in your house." Have we acted? How often do we say, "Well, my house"? I said it the other day. I asked somebody to go to my house. I think it was Dylan. I asked Dylan to go to my house. I was in California on a trip, and I asked him to go check on my house. And I said, "Hey, will you go check on my house for me? But hey, excuse the mess. We left in a hurry." But how many times does Jesus do that? How many times where he says, "I must be a guest in your house today"? And then we were like, "Well, it's dirty right now. Come back next week. Come back next month. Let me get some things picked up first before you come here." I heard a preacher say the other day, and it made me think, but this preacher says, somebody came up to him and said, "Hey, do I have to stop smoking weed to attend your church?" And the preacher said, "No." And he said, "What?" He's like, "No." He said, "Well, I don't have to stop smoking weed to attend your church." He said, "No, you don't." He said, "Let me ask you this." He goes, "Before you take a shower, do you get clean to take a shower?" Do you wash yourself off before you're going to take a shower? And he said, no. He goes, then why would you try to do that before coming to church? God is not asking you to clean yourself up before encountering him. He's asking you to let him be a guest in your house. And he will do the cleaning. And he will do the work. And he will put things in proper place, in proper order. And he will wipe up the mess that's been sitting on the ground for a whole lot. Desperation reveals a response. Verse 6. Says, Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. He has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. And while they were talking, meanwhile, while they were running their mouth, Zacchaeus didn't care, and he stood before the Lord and said, I will give half my wealth to the poor. And Lord, if I have cheated people on their taxes, I'll give them back 4 times as much. And Jesus responded to him, said, salvation has come to this home today. Desperation reveals a response. The amazing thing about this text is Zacchaeus was not the only person here that was desperate. Jesus was desperate. Jesus was desperate for his heart. Jesus was desperate to encounter Zacchaeus. Jesus was desperate to go to his home, to bring salvation to his home. Zacchaeus quickly responds, and he took Jesus to the house in excitement and joy. Watch what it doesn't say, expecting. It just says, he quickly responded in excitement and joy. He quickly responds in excitement and joy. Have we quickly responded this morning? There's a gentleman I met here earlier, very nice man. I hope to see him come back. He said he told me he was going to have to leave early, but he told me today that he's been watching online for a long time, and this morning was like the day that he was going to come to church and actually be here with us, but he had been watching online. And I know that there's people here, but I know there's other people online that have been watching. Say, have you quickly responded? If the Lord has been calling you through the online live stream, have you quickly responded? Or are you embarrassed for who's here? Are you embarrassed for who you're going to run into in this room? Who's going to see you in the crowd? I can relate to that too. There was a time that I'd come from a little small town in California, if you can believe it or not. There was a time that I would not walk into a church because I knew I probably either fought, partied with, or arrested most of the people in the church. So I would not walk into a church. Have you quickly responded? And have you quickly responded in excitement and joy? When Jesus says, hey man, I want to come to your house today, is it exciting for you? I want to change your life today. Is it exciting to you? They don't address expectation. Notice Jesus didn't lay out a list of expectations for him. He just said, I want to go to your house today. I must be a guest in your house. He didn't tell him, go clean up. He didn't tell him, go pick up whatever you don't want me to see. Go hide your liquor in the cabinet. Go put your cigarettes under the bed. Go, put all those things that you don't want me to see that are going to embarrass you, go put them away. He didn't tell him that. He didn't lay out any rules or expectations. He just said, I must be in your house today. And Zacchaeus responds quickly in joy. He didn't want a handout. He didn't expect anything. He just wanted to see him. And in seeing him led to a life-changing encounter with him. Wanting to see Jesus led him to breaking bread with Jesus. Led him to relationship with Jesus. Zacchaeus doesn't stop to address the talk. He doesn't stop to he doesn't shy away because people are talking about him. He doesn't stop to respond to the people. People will get mad. And the devil will get mad when you respond to the Lord. Can we get the worship team? When you start to respond to Jesus, the devil will get mad. The people were displeased. They did not like what they were seeing. I had somebody tell me one time that oh Manny, this is the phase he's going through. It's been a long time ago now, but they said this is a phase he's going through. Just watch, the ball's going to drop, and he'll be right back in the bar where he was. Just give it a minute. And one day turned into 2, and 2 days turned into a week, and a week turned into a month, and months have turned into years, and I'm still walking with him. But understand, people are going to be displeased with your decision. When you decide to respond, when you decide to stop caring that the crowd is trying to stop you and that people are going to talk about you, when you decide that you're desperate enough to encounter a life-changing God, you have to also understand that family are probably going to fall away from you. You're probably going to lose friends. Your calls are going to stop coming in. But understand this, that everything God does in your life is a miracle and a blessing. You just may not see it. Because as those people start falling off, you know what he's doing? He's peeling off the onion. He's peeling the layers of your life back that don't belong there. Everybody that pulled away from my life was everyone that didn't belong there. And it hurt. It hurt. Because I can't stand before you and tell you that everybody was a bad person. They weren't. These are people that I had long-standing relationships and investments with. These were people that I had emotions and feelings with, and I knew their parents, and I knew their children, and I've known them for years, and these are people that were really good people, but the Lord was saying, they're not for you. I have something greater for you. People will get mad. The devil will get mad. The more you respond to him, the more he will try to build up a wall to block you. It isn't going to work. If you don't like, and this is the attitude and the posture that I have taken in my life, if you don't like that Jesus walks with me and talks with me, that he breaks bread with me and calls me friend, if you have an issue with that, you better take it up with him. Zacchaeus doesn't stop to address the talk. He doesn't let the negativity stop him. He doesn't care what they say. He just walks in excitement and joy. And it says, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, I will give, not I want. Not people don't like me. Not if you, I will. No negotiation or bargain. Jesus didn't even ask him a question. Just the presence of God in Zacchaeus' life and in his house was enough. And Jesus tells him that salvation has come to his house today. Will you stand with me?